Okay, so Bench-CoE for LLMs.
Mm,
I know you want to cut through the hype, right? See what it's all about.
yeah.
We've got like a research paper excerpt here and some pretty detailed notes on this whole Bench-CoE thing. So the mission is it really a breakthrough or is it just, another buzzword?
Well, I have to say, you've got excellent taste in topics. Bench-CoE, it really is making waves. I, I think for a good reason.
Okay, so you're saying it is something special.
Yeah.
All right, color me intrigued. But what is it like really? What is Bench-CoE and how is it different from how we've been doing LLMs?
Okay, well, so traditionally we've always tried to build these massive LLMs.
Right.
Just these huge things that can do it all.
Yeah, like one LLM to rule them all.
Right, exactly. But Bench-CoE, well, it takes a different approach. It says, hey, different LLMs might actually have different strengths.
Okay, so like not every athlete is going to be good at every sport.
Right.
Right. Some are better at certain things than others.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. So Bench-CoE is all about specialists, masters in their own domain. The CoE part actually stands for Council of Experts, which is basically a collection of these specialized LLMs.
Okay, so instead of one giant LLM, we're talking about a bunch of smaller, more focused LLMs, each with its own like superpower.
Precisely.
Got it.
Yeah.
But how do they all work together? Like, is there some kind of central coordinator or something?
Yes, there is. That's where Bench comes in. Bench refers to the benchmarking data, which is used to create this kind of router.
A router, like a Wi-Fi router.
Well, not exactly, but kind of similar in the sense that it directs traffic. Think of it, think of it like a triage nurse in a hospital.
Oh.
So the router analyzes the task that comes in and figures out, based on the benchmarking data, which specialized LLM is best suited to handle it. Then it routes the task to that LLM.
So it's like a team of expert doctors, each with their own specialty. And the triage nurse is making sure each patient gets to the right doctor.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a perfect analogy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got our team of specialist LLMs, and we've got our router directing traffic. But how does this routing actually work?
Okay, so there are two main methods: query level routing and subject level routing.
All right, break it down for me. What's the difference?
So query level routing, it's like it's very detail oriented. It's looking at every single query in the training data set and figuring out which expert LLM is the absolute best fit for that specific query. It's extremely precise, but it can also be computationally expensive, and it might overfit to the training data.
So it's thorough, but maybe a little rigid. Like maybe it misses the forest for the trees.
Yes, precisely. And then you have subject level routing, which is more, well, it takes a broader view. Instead of focusing on each individual query, it looks at how well each expert LLM performs on different subjects or categories.
Okay, so if the task is about Renaissance art, the router knows to send it to the LLM that's like the art history buff.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, so we've got our two routing methods. How did they actually perform? Like, how did they test this whole Bench-CoE thing?
Right. So they started with what they called a naive evaluation. They trained and tested Bench-CoE on the same data set.
Okay, so kind of like a controlled environment.
Yeah, exactly. And both routing methods, they did remarkably well, actually. Especially query level routing. It did amazing on this benchmark called MMLU Pro, which is a really challenging benchmark.
Wow, okay, so it passed the first test with flying colors, but that was, playing on home turf, right?
Yeah.
What happened when they took Bench-CoE out of its comfort zone?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's where the in-distribution and out-of-distribution evaluations came in. So for the in-distribution evaluation, they used different parts of the same data set for training and testing.
Okay, so still familiar territory, but a bit more of a challenge.
Right. And Bench-CoE, it still performed really well. It actually outperformed individual LLMs, which was really interesting. Showed that it wasn't just a one-trick pony,
Not just a one-trick pony. Okay, so it can adapt.
Yeah.
But the real test, I'm guessing, was the out-of-distribution evaluation,
You got it.
where they trained it on one data set and then tested it on a completely different one.
Yeah, that was the real gauntlet.
So how did it handle that?
This is where subject-level routing really shined, actually. It turned out to be way more adaptable, when faced with a new data set.
So it's like subject-level routing is the explorer ready for anything.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really exciting for real-world applications, right? Because you can't always predict what kind of data you're going to encounter.
Okay, so we've got subject-level routing, our explorer. But what about query-level routing? Is it just, like, obsolete now?
Well, not necessarily. It still has its place.
Does it? Okay, I'm curious. When would you use query-level routing then?
Let's say you're building a recommendation system. for like a platform or something, you've got tons of user data. And the training data and the testing data, they're probably going to be pretty similar, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So in that case, query level routing with its, intense focus on each individual query, it might actually be the best choice.
Oh, okay. So it's all about picking the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
But here's what's really blowing my mind. They found that Bench-CoE, even when it was using smaller LLMs, sometimes it outperformed these like massive LLMs, like Llama 370B. So does this mean that bigger isn't always better anymore in the LLM world? I mean,
It's really interesting, isn't it? It definitely challenges that assumption that we've had for so long, like just keep making them bigger.
right.
Benchco is showing us that maybe, just maybe, a team of specialists working together can be more powerful than, one giant generalist.
Yeah, like a well-coordinated team can beat a superstar. It's kind of a David and Goliath story.
Yeah, exactly. And, this whole idea of collaborative intelligence, it could go way beyond LLMs.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. What if we could apply this approach to other areas of AI, like robotics, or even like solving big societal problems?
So instead of trying to build one super AI to solve everything, we build a bunch of specialized AIs that work together.
Exactly. Each AI bringing its own unique skills to the table.
Wow, you're really making me think here. Imagine like a team of specialized AIs working together to come up with like sustainable energy solutions
Hmm.
or to fight global health crises.
I know, right? The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
They really are. Okay, but before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's come back to Bench-CoE for a minute. All of this sounds amazing, but I'm sure there are like some limitations, right? Challenges that still need to be addressed.
Of course, yeah. Like any new tech, there's always room for improvement. One of the big challenges is the complexity of the router.
Mm.
The more expert LLMs you have, the harder it is to design a router that can actually like effectively analyze and route all the tasks.
So it's like a traffic control system that's suddenly having to deal with like a million cars.
Yeah, exactly. It can get pretty congested. So the router needs to be like super sophisticated to avoid bottlenecks.
Makes sense. What else? Any other challenges?
Another one is scalability. So how well does Bench-CoE perform if you have hundreds or even thousands of expert LLMs? And what if the data sets are just like massive?
Yeah, it needs to be able to handle the big leagues.
Right. Those are questions that still need more research.
Yeah.
And another hurdle is dynamic integration.
Dynamic integration, what's that?
So ideally, you want to be able to add new expert LLMs as they become available, without having to retrain the whole system.
Right.
Bench-CoE isn't quite there yet.
Okay, so exciting potential, but some kinks to work out.
Yeah.
Classic tech story.
Right.
But even with those limitations, this whole concept, this Bench-CoE thing, it feels like a big shift in how we think about AI and LLM specifically.
I agree. I think it's a really compelling approach. It challenges how we've been doing things, and it opens up a lot of new possibilities.
Okay, so for our listener, the one who wanted to know what this Bench-CoE buzz is all about, what are the key takeaways?
Well, we learned that Bench-CoE is more than just a cool name. It's a whole framework for how to get these specialized LLMs to work together. And we've seen that it can be really effective, sometimes even better than these giant LLMs that we've been so focused on.
Right.
And, it's this idea that collaboration and specialization, maybe those are the real keys to unlocking the power of AI.
Absolutely. It's not just about making them bigger, it's about making them smarter. And I think it raises some really interesting questions for the future of AI. Like, where do we go from here? It's like we were so busy trying to like build this one super AI, this ultimate athlete, good at everything. And we kind of forgot that, a team can be way more powerful.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
Right.
Or bigger, I guess, in the case of LLMs.
Exactly. So Bench-CoE, it's not just a new technique, it's like a whole new way of thinking about AI. And it kind of makes you wonder, what other Bench-CoE moments are out there? Like, what if we apply this to other fields?
That's what I find so exciting about it, the potential. Bench-CoE is just about LLMs right now, but this whole idea, this collaborative intelligence thing, it could go way beyond that.
Oh, yeah. Like, what do you have in mind?
Well, what about scientific research? Or healthcare? Or even, like, how we govern ourselves?
Whoa, okay, now you're getting really big picture.
Yeah.
But I like it.
It's about looking beyond, this idea of one solution that fixes everything, and instead embracing the power of different perspectives and working together.
I love that. All right, so coming back to our listener, the one who wanted to understand all this Bench-CoE hype. We did that right.
Definitely.
But I think we did even more than that. We discovered a whole new way of thinking about AI and what it can do.
I think so too. And I hope it inspires them to keep learning and exploring. Maybe they'll even be the ones to make the next big breakthrough.
And that is a wrap for this deep dive, everybody. Thank you so much to our expert for walking us through all of this and for, getting us to think outside the box a little bit.
My pleasure.
And to you, dear listener, thank you for joining us. Keep those brains buzzing, and we'll see you next time.